So far this NFL season, we have seen a lot of crazy things. We have seen some amazing games from players. Some teams have done really, really well and have played a lot better than a lot of people expected. And then some teams playing a lot worse than a lot of people expected. So in this video, we're going to be covering the best and the worst of the first 4 weeks so far this season. Let's go ahead and get right into it. So one of the bigger surprises so far this season has been the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's start with them. First of all, the first game of the season was at home against the Cleveland Browns. They ended up winning this game by 4. This was probably a game that they should have lost. But, in the fourth quarter, Tyreek Hill had a 75-yard touchdown, and that really brought him back into the game. And they ended up winning that one. Now, against the Ravens, this was a game that they definitely should have won, but they ended up losing. Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumbled the ball on, I believe, the Chiefs' last or next to last offensive drive of the game, and that ended up blowing it completely for them, and the Ravens won that game by 1. So after this road game against the Ravens, they went back to Arrowhead and they played the Chargers, who right now are actually one of the best teams in the NFL. Justin Herbert played like an MVP, and he ended up pulling out the victory for the Chargers. And the Chiefs, their defense didn't look good. Their offense didn't even look too good this game. They looked kind of confused out there. Mahomes was making mistakes that he hasn't really made throughout the entire season so far. But recently, we did see the Chiefs knock off the Eagles 42-30. So for Chiefs fans, I don't think there's any reason to panic. The Chiefs are still going to be a Super Bowl contender. But the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Broncos are all better than the Chiefs this year so far, record-wise. The Chiefs are the 4th seed in the AFC West. I'd say this is one of the bigger surprises so far this season. But after seeing them put out 42 against the Eagles, I think there isn't really any reason to panic. However, their defense is not very good at all, allowing 30 to the Eagles, 30 to the Chargers, 36 to the Ravens, and 29 to the Browns. So their defense does not look good out there, but their offense is still playing pretty well. And when you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, who already has 14 passing touchdowns and 1,200 yards, I think that the Chiefs, there's no reason for Chiefs fans or the Chiefs themselves to panic, and I believe they will easily bounce back from this. However, Mahomes isn't playing as well as he did in previous seasons. 4 interceptions, and most of them were actually his fault. The last couple seasons, it's like whenever he did throw a pick, it's like it was the receiver's fault, and none of them were really his fault. But this year, he has made some mistakes that were pretty easy to point out. But the Chiefs, they're still most likely going to make the playoffs, even though that AFC West is stacked. So I don't think that the Dallas Cowboys this season have been that much of a surprise, but I think it's definitely worth mentioning in this video. Week 1, the Cowboys on the road against the defending Super Bowl champions. Dak Prescott's first game back since his ankle injury, and the Cowboys look like an amazing team out there. They look like they can beat the Buccaneers. If it weren't for Greg Zuerlein missing a couple field goals, they would have won this game. So even though they did lose, I'd say this game was a great confidence builder for the Cowboys. Carrying that into week 2, another road game, but this time against the Chargers. And the Chargers, this was their only loss of the season. The Cowboys handed them their only loss. So the Cowboys, 20-17, beat the Chargers. And then they looked amazing out there against the Eagles and the Panthers at home. Their offense was amazing. Their defense was okay, especially against the Panthers. It wasn't great. They almost let the Panthers come back in the fourth quarter, but the Cowboys did end up taking 2 victories in the last 2 weeks. I'd say the thing that I've been most surprised by from the Dallas Cowboys hasn't even been on the field. It's been off the field. Jalen Smith getting released by the Dallas Cowboys and ending up with the Green Bay Packers. So honestly, this was a little bit confusing to me. Jalen Smith is making big money, but he is a pretty solid player. I feel like since his first and second season, his expectations have went up, but he hasn't really gotten much better. So I can kind of see where they're coming from, but I don't want the Cowboys to completely ruin this season. They have started really well, so let's hope they can make a decent playoff run and make some Cowboys fans happy. Alright, so let's take a look at the NFC West. The Arizona Cardinals, sitting atop this division, are the only undefeated team left in the NFL. They knocked off the Rams in Week 4, and that was a statement win for the Cardinals. And just yesterday, actually, the Los Angeles Rams ended up beating the Seattle Seahawks. So the Seahawks currently are the 4th best team in the NFC West. And the 49ers still haven't played their game on Sunday. So right now, the NFC West looks interesting. The Cardinals, as the only unbeaten team in the NFL, that's a little bit surprising to me. Even though we knew that they would be a pretty solid team coming into this season, I did not expect them to beat the Rams. And the Rams' offense so far has been insane. Their defense has been okay. The defense did help them knock off the Seahawks. The Seahawks look like a dysfunctional team right now. Now that Russell Wilson's also hurt with, I believe it was a dislocated finger, we'll see if he comes back next week. I think he probably will, but we never know. So the Seahawks do not look very good, especially with the NFC West having 2 of the Super Bowl contenders so far this season, and even the 49ers, who, maybe could sneak in there with a little bit of, luck, and maybe they can get better throughout the season. But the NFC West so far has been interesting. So before I end this video, I'm going to quickly touch on a few of the smaller surprises that have kind of flown under the radar so far this season. So the Cincinnati Bengals, sitting atop the AFC North, I'd say this is definitely one of the bigger surprises this season. Joe Mixon has been having a decent season. Joe Burrow, in one of the games he's played, I think he threw 3 interceptions, but somehow they're still doing okay. The Ravens, they knocked off the Chiefs. They look like a decent team. Justin Tucker with a 66-yard field goal. The Browns starting 3-1, and the Steelers haven't really been doing good since that win in Week 1. So the AFC North right now is pretty interesting. One more thing about the Cowboys, they are easily going to win the NFC East. I don't see a way that any of the other 3 teams can catch them. Washington seems okay. If Jalen Hurts can really step up his game, I guess the Eagles can maybe challenge them, but I'm just really nitpicking here. I don't think that there's really a chance for any of the teams behind the Cowboys to catch them in the NFC East. I think one of the really not noticeable, things. So one last thing that a lot of people have really not been noticing is that the Carolina Panthers are 3-1. They started off 3-0 until they just lost this week against the Cowboys. But even in that game, they seem to play okay. Sam Darnold is maybe making a comeback on his NFL career. He seems like he is having fun on the field and doing really well, running well with his legs, and he's making some decent decisions with the football. So this video mainly has been, or really the entire video has been, about NFL teams this season. But one last thing I want to address: the rookie quarterbacks this season. Zach Wilson has not been playing well. Let's put it straight. He's not been playing well. Last week, he seemed to have a little bit of a bounce back against the Titans. They ended up getting their first win of the season. But Zach Wilson so far is not playing great. Hopefully he can come back and play better. Mac Jones looks amazing, I can tell you that much, against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He played an amazing game, but they ended up losing. Justin Fields, we haven't really seen much from him. A couple quarterbacks that aren't in this picture are Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance. Trey Lance hasn't really touched the field a lot this season, but he did play last week. He seemed to play pretty good, actually. And Trevor Lawrence hasn't won a game yet, but last week against the Bengals, he seemed to play really well. although they didn't win that game. They came pretty close, and if it weren't for the Jaguars screwing up like they always do, they probably would have won that game. So the rookie quarterbacks, starting probably the first 3 weeks, besides Mac Jones, they looked actually terrible. Trevor Lawrence looked really bad. Justin Fields' first game, I believe he got sacked 9 times or something like that. And then Zach Wilson, his first 3 games were not good. However, week 4 for all the rookie quarterbacks seemed pretty good. So I'm excited to see what week 5 brings for the rookie quarterbacks and really the entire NFL. There were a lot of major events that have happened so far in this NFL season that I didn't cover in this video. But I tried to cover the most important teams and the best games so far this season. Teams that have surprised me and playing a lot better than I thought, and teams that surprised me playing a lot worse than I expected. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That's going to do it for me. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.